So the challenge was, how do you sell a service and how do you do a service when it's not handled that way as it goes down to the technician level?
Welcome back to Pest Radio, the podcast where we talk with the leaders shaping the future of the pest control and wildlife industries, from business growth and operations to marketing, leadership, mindset, and the real stories behind the people behind the work. I'm Faye Cebioglu from Digital Karma, a digital marketing agency helping pest control and home service companies grow through search engine optimization, Google Ads, websites, automation, and AI-driven marketing. Our mission is simple: help good companies grow with smart, honest, and trackable marketing. Today's guest is Kendra Snyder from Quest Termite and Pest Management, Pennsylvania. She is the general manager of the company. Kendra's journey in pest control is interesting because it reflects something we see a lot in this industry. People don't always enter it intentionally, but the ones who stay tend to build deep operational and leadership expertise over time. What stood out to me about Kendra is how grounded her perspective is, especially when it comes to operations, systems, and how real businesses actually run in the field. Kendra, welcome to our podcast, Pest Radio. I'm really glad we could make this happen today.
Thank you, Faye. It's great to be here.
So, can you take us back to the beginning? How did your journey in pest control actually start?
So my personal journey background had a very corporate background for many, many years, probably about 25 years. And while I was working in corporate America, my husband was working for a big box pest control company. And his vision was that he loved the industry and he loved what he did. However, he felt that when he was educating a client on a service, that it was not implemented the way that he felt it had to be implemented to correct the problem. So the challenge was, how do you sell a service and how do you do a service when it's not handled that way as you sold
Mm-hmm.
it as it goes down to the technician level. So he felt it was not a very customer centric company. So he
Mm-hmm.
approached me and we took a class on how to start a business in Pennsylvania. It was an 8-week course with a community college. And so I started from the beginning with him part time, did some accounting work and some HR work and some backup work when he needed me to. And about 9 years ago, I decided to leave corporate America and took a leap of faith and came on board full time in his office.
So, you just mentioned that your role at the beginning was part-time, taking care of accounting or community work. So, what did that early experience teach you?
The early experiences kind of taught me how to get my leg in the door and kind of what the organization, it's a service industry. I came from a corporate industry, which was very different. So
Hmm.
starting out in the beginning, answering the telephones, talking to clients, understanding the challenges, learning what their struggles were, that was instrumental first. And then took on the role of the office manager. So basically wanted to lead the charge with the office team to kind of like lead them, help them understand what we needed to accomplish and how customer centric we were. So through that journey, I was able to learn more about the business, more about the industry, and then also spending some time in the field with technicians and my husband, just understanding like what the challenges are from their perspective as well. So it could look great when you're sitting in the office in air conditioning, but when you're outside in 90-degree weather, the experience is much different. So how do we complement that? How do we help them? And how do we support them in that whole process and that journey? So having time in the field in every role of the company really allowed me to get a bigger picture of our why. Why do we do what we do and how do we do it?
What made you stay after those first experiences? Because you may not to stay and you may go to corporate life back.
And corporate life is great. You've got a nice salary, you've got bonus opportunity, you had incentives, you had stock options, benefits, was fantastic. But I think there's a piece when you really, when I started thinking deep down how I was going to make a change, I felt like my employee number was not going to make as much of a change and impact on my community and the industry, what I wanted to do, than it would if I moved into our business. And
Hmm.
so through that journey, like looking back, I think I could have gone back to a corporate role. I could have easily fulfilled that. But I'm not the type of person that works an 8-hour day. I'd never stop thinking. So, regardless of who I worked for or worked with, I was going to need a challenge. And so, coming into this industry and being new in this industry, it's a little overwhelming at first, but once you're in it, I found a passion, I found a family, I found my why, I found reasons to get up in the morning and be excited about what I could do to impact people, impact lives, impact the industry.
So looking back, do you feel like you chose pest control or did it kind of chose you?
It chose me. I'm supposed to be here.
Okay. What were the biggest turning points that shaped your career so far in pest control industry?
My husband used to attend events all the time, Pest
Hmm.
World, and I
Hmm.
really didn't understand why. I didn't understand what you would do there. I didn't understand what the purpose was, other than I thought it was a big social event. And so one year I decided to attend with him, and that really shaped my vision of the industry. Not only was I exposed to a whole world of like-minded individuals who were all faced with the same challenges I was faced with, but they were resources, and we had conversations, and we had really deep conversations about how we can make changes in the industry. And then a few years into doing that, I submitted an application to become part of the executive leadership programs, and I was awarded that class of 2023. And through that journey, it gave me even more exposure. So now I've got speaking engagements, I've got opportunities, I've got resources from East Coast to West Coast, Canada, and beyond. So having those resources in your back pocket when you have a question or concern is something in that you cannot take for granted. And fostering those relationships and building relationships as you nurture that those relationships, you also are helping yourself, and you're building your support system, and ultimately you're providing the value for your company.
Was there a moment when you realized, okay, I'm actually building something long term here in the industry?
I think that through my relationships and through when you see something change, even a 1% change, and you say, I made that change and it really impacted somebody. And then you share that with somebody because maybe they don't think it's a good change, and they want to take that same idea and maybe implement it into their company. And so now you've got people who are like, oh, wow, I like what you're thinking. I like how you approach that. Maybe that's something that for the industry wide might be something we look forward to changing. So I think that as you implement things and you see positive impacts, you know you're doing the right thing, the right reason.
So, what has been the most challenging transition phase for you professionally? Because you have a corporate background, now you are
Mhm.
wearing different hats. I'm sure you were wearing much more hats at the beginning when you founded the company with your husband. What was that?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of when you think about it, when you work in corporate America, you've got sets of departments. You've got your legal department, your accounting department, your human resources department, your technical department. You've got all these resources at your fingertips. It's shooting an email, setting up a meeting, or making a phone call, and it gets done. And so when you transition from that to it's all me, I have to change the hat I'm wearing and I've got to do the work. So it can be very intimidating to someone who's afraid of change or afraid of a challenge, who's afraid to be uncomfortable. I feel that once you're comfortable, you're no longer challenging yourself, and you become stagnant. When you're wearing all those hats, it really makes you grow in places you never thought you'd grow. It helps you expand your network of individuals by asking questions and finding other resources to help you find solutions. So circling that all back, I think that there are definitely ways that can be challenging, but I think that if you're open to it and you're honest with yourself, you can transition fairly easily. It wasn't easy because you do come from a whole different mentality of how things are done with processes and procedures and SOPs. So now you've got to figure out how to implement that in your own world.
So, how has your role changed over time from where you started to where you are now? Not only at your company, also in the
Mhm.
industry.
I feel so grateful for this industry and through the ELP. And so not only have I worked harder in my business and have grown the business, but from a state and national level, having exposure and participating, just showing up, just listening, hearing what people have to say. And so through those exposures, it gives me opportunities to be a little bit more individual. So for example, I've got a lot of peers and I love sharing my journey and help others. I love to mentor. I love to have mentors myself. So I don't know everything, but I can certainly use my resources to find solutions and bounce ideas off of. So through the last 9 years, getting involved and being okay, not being okay all the time. So growing our professional women in pest management committee here in Pennsylvania and getting and participating in on the same committee on a national level and our SPAR program and all the different programs that we offer, pest vets. So as you grow and develop your company, you're also learning yourself. So again, really just being uncomfortable and being okay walking into a room not knowing anybody, but just kind of listening and NPMA is very acceptable. They all want to welcome you. So I really didn't have that issue, but I think that the exposure has definitely been instrumental in my personal growth and journey.
So, from your perspective, what is the biggest operational challenge pest control companies face today?
Operationally speaking, I feel that we are challenged by legislation at times. We have to be mindful of fostering those relationships on a state and national level with legislators to help them understand who we are, what we do, why we do it, and how we do it. And so we can take that back and we're not restricting what our technicians can do, what products they can use, how they can apply something. Obviously, the label's the law, so we always want to make sure we're reading that label, but just I think it's educating our legislators on how we operate and how we protect food, health, and property. And again, building those relationships and driving that all the way down to every level of your organization.
And where do you think companies lose efficiency without even realizing it?
Planning. Is your company right sized? Is your company too large? Is your company too small? Do you need different resources within your company? You have to think about that and you have to plan. Otherwise, you do lose momentum and you do lose efficiencies. And just being aware of, again, don't be comfortable. Don't resist change. Be okay learning something that you never thought you'd ever utilize, for example, AI in your
Mhm.
business, and then learning what that means and how it can support your business. Not necessarily, it can be a blessing and it could be a curse, but I think that it could be more of an opportunity for you to learn how to use it and be okay learning that. And then you become more efficient.
So, if you could walk into any pest control company and fix one thing immediately, what would it be?
Fix one thing immediately. I feel like a lot of it is leadership and culture. It
Uh-huh.
starts there. It always starts there. So if you think about, it could be operationally speaking, like the energy in the room. If you walk into a room and you feel like no one's heard, they don't feel valued, they feel underpaid, they feel that no one listens to their ideas. I think a lot of it is just listening. What is the challenge of that organization? And so some of it might be technology. Maybe the CRM is outdated and they don't have a mechanism or an understanding of what's out there that they could potentially upgrade to or change. And what are the challenges of each, member of that team and how can you support that journey? I feel like a lot of businesses fail because of leadership, lack thereof, culture, and knowing why you do what you do. And it starts at the top and it filters all the way down.
So, what separates a company that feels well run from one that is constantly putting out fires?
Again, I think it starts with leadership. When you've got a great leadership team and you empower them to make decisions on your behalf, my goal is to make myself, you know, I ultimately want to replace myself with other talent. I want them to be able to bring in new ideas and make changes that maybe I didn't think about. And so it starts with the leadership. And again, knowing what your strengths are and being okay with not having other strengths and having areas of opportunity that maybe you have to invest in other resources to help you accomplish those tasks. But I think it does start there and the culture. And that culture translates to how your work is done, the quality of it, and process improvements.
So, how would you describe your leadership style today at the company and also your culture at the company?
So we are a very customer centric organization. We are very customer focused. We want our clients to feel valued. We want to show our value in multiple ways and have touch points all the time with them. And we have set up a system to do that. So from my perspective, I think that my leadership style is about coaching. I think that if you make a mistake, we're all going to make mistakes. How can I help you be the best version of yourself that you want to be? And ultimately, do you like what you're doing? Do you think that you are appreciated for doing what you do? And do you have any suggestions? Like those one-on-one times, I have one-on-ones with my team members every month. We have
Mm-hmm.
a weekly huddle where we just kind of talk about like what went right, what went wrong, what do you need, what resources
Mm-hmm.
do you need, where do you feel like we might have lost momentum. So just having those touch points, I think, are going to be instrumental with how I lead and how I coach people.
And how do you approach managing field teams versus office teams?
Very differently in a lot of ways. And I think the biggest part, the best thing I could do is make my technicians and my field teams sit in the office and listen to the phone calls, listen to the interactions, listen to how we respond to things. And then also taking my office staff and team into the field and letting them see a day in the life of a technician whose office is their truck. And so they
Mm-hmm.
might feel like they're on an island at times. And sometimes they get excited about something that really the office is thinking it's not a big deal, but to them might be very important because it affects them in a different way. So having those interactions, I think, is critical so that each team knows the challenges of the other team. And so the goal is that we all work together toward a common goal of solving problems, showing our clients our value, and doing the best job we can given what we're given. We're also very open to technicians saying, I heard about this new resource or tool or whatever. I think we'd like to try it. Can we get something like that? Can we try it? So being okay investing in your employees in that way as well. It might not just be financially for them, but it might be a resource or a tool or a product that they really wanted to try, and being open to getting that to help them do their job better and easier.
What is one leadership lesson you think this is not negotiable in this industry?
A leadership lesson.
Yeah,
So,
non-negotiable.
yes, listen more than you talk sometimes. Just listen. They want to tell you things and be okay. I consider myself very approachable. I consider myself to have an open door policy. And if you want to come in here and you want to sit down and tell me something that you feel is going to benefit our company or benefit yourself or whatever, I want to listen. I want to hear what you have to say because they have boots on the ground and ears to the wall. So they know the pulse of what's going on with our clients. And so I like that feedback for myself as well. It's not about me always coaching them. Sometimes I have to hear things that will help me as well to make better decisions for the company as we grow.
So you have also have a feedback culture both
Absolutely.
ways. Yeah.
Safe to speak up. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I feel like, thankful with all your corporate experience because what I'm hearing is all this experience really helped you when you founded your company, all this leadership style you have.
Absolutely. And I think the corporate environment is very different and it's dynamic and it teaches you about how to respond to things, and it did teach me a lot about myself as well, like my values, my worth, what I feel that I want to put my energy towards, but just processes, procedures, understanding how a larger company works and then implementing that little by little into your company so that again, you're acting like that large company so that when you get there, you've got your systems in place. So when I'm a very structured person. I'm very structured with my processes. So I don't want to lose sight of that. So I need to start implementing those processes. So everyone who, from the field team to the office team, knows what that process looks like. And if they want to poke holes in it and challenge it, open for discussion always, but we've got the process for a reason.
How do you balance accountability with empathy in a high pressure service environment?
It can be a very challenging time because I am very empathetic and I understand certain things you can control, certain things you can't control. Balancing that is very gentle some days because it's individual. Every person is on their own journey, and some people bring things to work that they don't know how to deal with outside of work, so or while they're at work, so you have to kind of coach that and help them along that way. But there's a and being but also being empathetic to the fact that if my team's working in 90-degree weather, I'm going to buy them cases of Gatorade. I'm going to buy them beverages and snacks so that they have drink and stay hydrated, and send them reminders that we're thinking about you, that we're please stay hydrated. Just those little things I think go a long way. Or if someone does something, I get a call about something exceptional that one of my team members did. Give them a gift card. Thank you for just being you. Thank you for doing a great job. Thank you for being a valuable team member. And I feel like those small things really add up, that it might not be a significant raise or salary change or bonus structure, but it's just thank you for being your authentic self and your true self and doing a great job representing the brand and our business.
So, as a woman in pest control, what has your experience been like navigating the industry?
I still love it. I never felt like I was an outsider. I never felt like I was not accepted. I feel very comfortable having grown up with some brothers. I'm very comfortable in a male dominated industry, and I'm very comfortable working around anyone. I can hold my own. So it's not intimidating for me at all. As a matter of fact, I feel like I'm appreciated because I can have a good sense of humor and I like to laugh like the rest of them. But at the end of the day, we're here to get a job done, and I can drill just like my male counterparts, and I can dig trenches like my male counterparts, and I can do whatever they need me to do to support them, whether it be footing a ladder or just being a resource with a problem account and having a second set of eyes on it. So I've never felt that I was not accepted in this industry, or that being female in a male dominated industry, I never really thought twice about it, honestly.
Actually, I feel the same, you know. It's a
Hmm.
very male-dominated industry, but never felt like I'm an outsider as a woman.
Exactly.
No, it's very
Hmm.
welcoming,
Yeah,
very
very.
balanced.
And I think that a lot of men, I think even my husband would say this, behind every very successful man is the woman who knows what's going on. I could say that in front of him, I would, with sincerity, because we think differently. I would say that, for example, my husband's a visionary. He's got all these great ideas, but he has no idea how to implement them. So that's where I come in. He'll throw an idea out there and we'll talk about it and then figure out, like, should we do it? Should we move forward? What would we need to do that? That's our partnership. And that's where we work well together, in that he could throw a thousand ideas at me and I might say, no, 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 but that one I like, let's implement that. Let's try that. So I feel like he does count on me for that, even though, I consider him very successful. He's very bright, but there's things he does not do well, and he's willing to acknowledge that.
So you balance each other. So it's about not
Hmm.
everybody, has the same strengths or
Yeah.
weaknesses. I
No.
think, I mean, for your situation, but I also seen a lot of great couples in the industry. They work together and they
Hmm.
balance everything like you do with your husband.
Yes. Yes.
So do
And
you
it can
feel,
be a challenge, but you have to
yeah,
learn to separate personal and business.
yeah, it can, I'm sure it can be a challenge. I feel the industry is changing in terms of opportunities and visibility for women.
I do. Absolutely. If you looked at, what our PWIPM committee meeting looked like a couple years ago, when it was 20 women who showed up to have a conversation and a breakfast, and now it's standing room only, male and female, which is like, just goes to show that things are changing, things are evolving, the masses are coming out, and they want to be seen and heard, and respectfully. And I think that through those opportunities, we are giving women more opportunities so that they can join this industry and understand it and bring value to it, just like their male counterparts.
Yeah, I saw more men this time at Legislative
Yeah,
Day.
which is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it. I
I
love
love it
it.
too. I hadn't seen that amount of men at our meetings before.
Yes, absolutely.
What would you say to women who are considering entering this field but are still unsure about it?
Just find someone else in the industry, ask them all the hard questions. Find another female in the industry and just say, tell me your worst day. Tell me your biggest challenge. Tell me your biggest fear. And then walk through each of those journeys and help them understand, like, how you can overcome that. And don't be afraid. And if you know what you're talking about and you're not willing, and you are willing to make that change and take that risk, absolutely. Just ask other people. Find someone to be a mentor. Ask someone to participate in an event with you so you don't feel like you're the only female in the room, and just do it.
So, where do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years professionally?
I would like to make myself replaceable. And I would like to start really honing in on my growth of my company. I'm doing it now and I'm building a leadership team one by one. So I'm really making a strong effort to outsource a lot of my responsibilities to others, give them opportunities as well. So as we grow, let others grow with the company and let them, reap the rewards of that. And then just I don't ever see myself getting out of the industry, but in the next 3 to 5 years, really just putting more effort into my footprint in a bigger national picture and how I can help others and help them grow their businesses and help them learn from my journey and maybe not make some of the mistakes I made, but also staying ahead on technology and understanding what that means to your business so that you can stay ahead where appropriate.
And where do you think the pest control industry is heading overall?
I don't think it's going anywhere. I think there's always going to be a need for it. I was just talking to someone earlier about how long do you think until robots are going to be the technicians out in the field? And how long until we see more robotic, or what is that going to mean from the Department of Agriculture or the EPA? I'm not sure exactly, but I don't think it's going anywhere. I think there's always going to be a need to do what we do and our why. It's just a matter of how it's done, maybe different technologies, maybe different products, maybe different opportunities, but I feel very confident that it's going to stay very strong.
Kendra, thank you so much for being here today. I think a lot of people will relate to your perspective, and especially around how real growth in this industry actually happens slowly through systems, people, and experience. Also, what you did bring to the table from your corporate background. Thank you so much.
Mhm. Thank you. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you.